Well, guys, it's been a long road, but I officially competed in Summer Shredding 2023 on July 16th, and I accomplished my goal of winning my division, which was middleweight, 154 pounds to 176. I officially weighed in at 169 pounds. For those who don't know, I'm Natty, and I was pretty happy, especially for a first show. I accomplished my goal, which was to win my division, and I won the overall bodybuilding class. Now, there's a lot to this, so I didn't really know how I wanted to do this video, but I'd like to show you where I started because if you guys remember, I ran a poll on my Instagram back in like November or December of 2022 asking, hey, you guys think I should try this bodybuilding show? You guys voted yes, I should, and that was kind of what kicked off this whole thing. A couple friends behind the scenes also pushing me to do it, and I couldn't be happier with the result. And one thing, I really was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. The prep got very long, very brutal, especially in those last couple weeks. But man, on stage, that was just so much fun. And I want to thank Christian for putting this together, Christian Guzman. Man, without this show, I probably would have never competed. I had to drop about 35 pounds, if not a little bit more. So I'll just kind of run through that process. So without further ado, as you can see, I'm pretty detailed with tracking my calories. I started off about 3,500 calories, and this is saying, 205, 206 pounds. Even before that, just starting tracking, I think I used MyFitnessPal. I ended up switching to Chronometer. Basically, I was maybe 210 when I first started, and that got all the way down into the 169 range, 168. Going into weigh-in and show day. I took some pretty detailed notes there because I want to know what I did as I go into October. But man, this was such a long process, and it starts off pretty simple. But like I said, I started around 3,500 calories, maybe 34, that range, and I ended up down at 1,600 to 1,700. So that's literally cutting my calories in half, hitting my macronutrients every day for that literal 6-month span, and then increasing cardio. I guess one thing you could see, I added that middle column. Cardio went up a ton, and by the end of it, I was doing between 300 and 400 calories burnt of cardio, maybe 40 to 50 minutes a day, and that was on top of it already being so low, and I was very depleted. My fats got down to, at one point, 25 grams per day, and I realized that was way too low. I bumped it up to 30. I got to the point, that was the last 2 weeks, where I was standing up and feeling a little bit lightheaded. Carbs were down, 100. It just got so low that I'm trying to hit my protein, but at the same time, you got to get the calories from somewhere. So I'm glad that that's as low as I needed to go. Much beyond that would have been difficult. I would have had to really up the cardio. But we did get there, and hopefully my mini reverse diet, I don't know what you'd call it. Hopefully this turns out well. I had to use some intuition. There's some debate about reverse dieting versus, I guess, maybe just kind of going up. And I guess my intuition told me, all right, it's not good to be at such low calories. And I already know I'm in such a severe deficit. I really went ham, I guess you could say, this week after the show. So it's been exactly 1 week, and I'm up about 5 or 6 pounds. I basically wanted to stay at that stage weight for as little as possible to avoid muscle atrophy, and then also to get my hormones readjusted, because testosterone is definitely very low. My energy was very low, but within that week of eating a lot, very high protein and fat, just trying to get my metabolism, my hormones rebalanced, I feel so much better. So I'm hoping that was the right move. I'm a little bit bloated, obviously, just from reintroducing that amount of food. But I feel a lot better, much more normal. And now this next week, I'm going to stabilize, try to find where my maintenance is at. And then I'm 13 weeks. I'll find my maintenance. I'll be at 12 weeks, and I can work back down. So ideally, like I said, I weighed in at 169 for that first show. If I could, guessing, I could probably shave off another 3 or 4 pounds. That's going to be very, very difficult. But that's, that last little bit to get the shredded glutes. I did have some glute striations from the right lighting, right angle, but I could definitely lose just a little bit more. So obviously, I don't want to go too extreme in the last couple weeks like I did this past time. So if I can just aim pound a week, go into that final show, recalibrate as needed as we're going down, that'd be ideal. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to talk about the show just a little bit more. I got some really cool pictures. I wasn't planning to buy the actual stage photos, but I got the front shots. And then I also paid for my individual posing routine.
Next we've got 104, Christopher Warman.
Now, the only kind of bittersweet part of this show was there were only 5 bodybuilding competitors. So while there were going to be all the different weight classes, there were 4 listed online. They just threw them all together, and we all competed at the same time. And that's fine. That you control what you can control. Most people did classic physique, which that's just how the industry is going. Bodybuilders are tending to go there. You got C-Bum making it extremely popular. And, you can wear, I guess, a traditional Speedo as opposed to a thong. So that's a plus. But, man, when I started getting into bodybuilding and just lifting in general, bodybuilding itself was the thing. And I knew all those poses decently well. I did look pretty bad with the lat spread, and I learned a lot about pumping up before. There was just not a lot of time. There's a little bit of uncertainty as far as when you're going to step on stage. So those are lessons I'm going to take forward into the next show to hopefully look a little bit better. But I'm going to be practicing my posing a lot sooner now. Admittedly, I started way too late. I had my posing routine down maybe 2 weeks before the show. And I had the music. I knew generally what I wanted to do. But then, the day of the show, I was thinking of things like, oh, you know what, during this transition, I could hit, this maybe kind of like Ziz pose from behind. And so I was practicing that the day of the show, and that's terrible. I need to do better there. I was not expecting to be so exhausted in those last few weeks for practicing. So I left the door open a little bit. I'm grateful to have won, but that's on me. I need to be better there. But look, credit to the guys that showed up. It's not easy to step on stage mentally, physically. It is very demanding. So I want to give the biggest kudos possible to the guys that stepped on stage with me. You guys looked good. This is a hard thing to do. And looking into the finale now in October, I'm going to be going up against those classic physique guys. So really, we're going to get a better gauge of how I look. Like I said, so it's going to be tough being natty. That's why I really need to shave off those last few pounds. I need to come in basically as symmetrical as possible, as lean as possible. My strengths, like bicep is a strength, chest is a strength, legs are decently, good. I'd like to get those a little bit better. Some of you guys know I actually sprained my knee in November of 2022 coming into the prep. I got it up to a point where that felt good. One thing that I hit consistently was a spin bike, and that helped me keep my quads engaged, hamstrings engaged. But, I noticed personally slight symmetry issues. I don't know if it was enough to see on stage. But then same with the biceps. I actually had tweaked right in the elbow there on the right side. And and this is something that's been a thing for me. My right arm has always been a little bit smaller, so you can probably see when I have a double bicep up, the right is slightly smaller. So me being very OCD, I'm actually going to start deadlifting reverse grip, right arm underneath, as opposed to what I did for like 8 years, which was left arm underneath. Probably why my left bicep was bigger. But that's one change I'll make. Who knows if it'll make a difference. This is kind of experimental for me. But I think the biggest thing is going to be practicing posing more consistently. A few shots I absolutely loved, like the symmetry round, my right side. I thought that just looked absolutely fantastic. Thought I knocked that out of the park. The crab, most muscular, I thought looked extremely good. But like I said, the rear lat spread, that just looked pathetic. I didn't know how to do it. I was having a little bit of issues with my legs just bouncing, a little bit of nerves. I took a pre-workout. Probably should have taken a stimulant-free pre-workout. Kind of tamed down some of that excitement. I wasn't expecting that adrenaline rush stepping on stage. It's just a whole new animal I wasn't expecting. So just lessons learned, things that you wouldn't know going into it. But I'm rambling here. Like I said, thank you to Christian. Thank you to the Summer Shredding staff. All of you are fantastic. And I had a blast. The after event the next day on Monday was superb when you had all the sponsors there. I got to speak with Christian real briefly. That was very cool. Got to hang out with some of the Alphaland athletes. You guys were awesome. I had a blast. I'm really looking forward to October, and hopefully we can get another one of these. It's going to be very tough. Don't get me wrong. We got all the competitors from, Florida, and then upcoming from the Canadian show. So it's going to be fun, and I'll see you guys then.